Hello everybody, welcome to the start of Season 14 here on the Gravediggers with Partizan Belgrade. We have got so much to catch up on. Basically, I did do what I said I was going to do and I just played the rest of the season. We've got, obviously, that to look back on. We've got transfers to look on. We've got this season to look at. But we've also got a humongous event that happened for Serbian football to look into as well. Let's get cracking. Yeah, so everyone, welcome to today's episode. After I saw you last time out against Man City, we then went on, as you would expect, to win the league. We randomly dropped points against Javor Matis. It happens, I suppose. And everything was going great. We had won 35 games out of 36. This is a 37-game season. We had matched the record for the most wins in a season, which was by Red Star with 35. We needed one more win to set a new record and get a record for the most points. And we go last game at home, Nemanjovic's last game for Partizan Belgrade at home. He scores, but we still lose 2-1. We absolutely dominated them. It wasn't quite a true FMing. They were good value for at least a goal. But sick in their last game of the season, that was. And we completed a double with a comfortable win over Stankom. Certainly helped by them getting 2 men sent off. This one was just a straight red, reckless tackle. And then this one, he elbowed Michanovic in the face. But both times something happened, an animation happened, which I've never seen before. And that was the players getting sent off, picked the ball up and punched it away. Like a descent type thing. I was like, I've never seen anyone do that before. It was quite refreshing. So what that meant was, obviously, we did the double, and we actually had the league wrapped up on the final day of the mainstay of the league before we even went to the final group split, which, as you can see, pretty straightforward. Now, what's this big thing for Serbian football you're all talking about? Well, Vojvodina only went and won the Conference League. That's right, the team who kind of scraped through right towards the end. 3 wins and 3 defeats, winning their last 2 games to propel them. I think it was winning with their last 2 anyway, I can't remember. But basically propelled themselves into contention. Only went and beat Sporting 2-1 in the final, despite actually having a man sent off when it was 1-1. They still went on to win. And that means that they've gone straight in at the Europa League. Now, this season we have no teams in the Conference League because Metalak got knocked out at like the 3rd round or whatever, and TSC got knocked out at the playoff round. But we have got Vojvodina and Red Star in the Europa League. Red Star got past Besiktas, but then got knocked out by Vitesse, which is not great, and we'll touch on that why. For a couple of reasons, really. Although them being in Europa League, they've probably got a better chance of doing better than they would have done in the Champions League. And then, meanwhile, we're the only Champions League representatives this season. But if things go well for us, we could potentially leapfrog not just Portugal, but the Netherlands as well. So before a ball had been kicked in Europe, we were actually due to finish above Portugal. At the start of next season. So the points that we were carrying over and the points they were carrying over into next season, without any additional from this season, would have seen us just go straight over them. And as I said, we have got the potential to actually catch the Netherlands, so we could potentially go up to 6th, which will mean that we get 2 teams going into the Champions League group stage, as well as 1 team going into the playoff, and we'd get what, just the one going to the group stage of the Europa League still, but we'd also get an extra place. We get a team going straight to the playoff in the Conference League rather than Q3. Now, we will definitely have a say over that to an extent in our Champions League games this season, because we're playing Porto, Ajax and Benfica. Now, we have lost to Porto once or twice before, 3 times, including a battering in our first game against them back in 2018, but since then we've come on leaps and bounds. I think we played Ajax before and lost as well. I know we drew 1-1. That was back in 2029, and we also last time we played Sevilla before actually, this is irrelevant, but we beat them back in 2025 when we had a much worse team. And last time we played Benfica, we smashed them, I believe, 4-0. 4-0. That was when we won all 8 games. So I like to think we could do that. The other games, we got Spurs, 3 in a row Premier League winning Spurs, by the way, under Pep Guardiola. We've got Juve, who just narrowly beat us last season. Galatasaray, who we battered. Chelsea, who we drew 3-0 with last time. And then, yeah, as I said, Sevilla. So, going to be tough, but we'll do our best. We're sticking with the same tactic for now. It's started this season pretty well. If I just untick the Superliga, as you can see, 4-0, 2-1, 2 back-to-back 7-1s, and 9-0. Just a sort of comfortable 1-0 against Red Star. It may have only been 1 goal, but really, it was never in doubt. The same here, actually, against Radnički Niš. We laboured. We had 2 goals disallowed. They didn't have a single shot. And we only just about got through 1-0. Vojvodina and then TSC we beat as well. So that's where we're at the moment. We've got Porto today. That's going to be the only game because I'm going to spend quite a lot of time recapping and doing transfers and stuff. My main focus, I think, going forward is going to be the Champions League. I know we've kind of been gearing towards that recently, but we've been throwing in a few league games. I think I am mainly just going to focus on the Champions League, if that's okay for everyone. Unless we get something really exciting happening in the league, or like a really juicy cup final or something like that, I'm probably just going to focus on the Champions League because we have won something like 9 or 10 in a row Super Leaguers now, and I don't know how many cups. So, and already this season we're like 9 points clear. So if we look at like what will it be under just the profile, is it past winners? So as you can see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that is, isn't it? 10, 11 out of the last 14. So I think that's, quite comfortable, really. The interesting thing has actually been Red Star's resurgence in recent years. It was for, they were kind of struggling a little bit for a time, and they've really bounced back. So because I always forget to move myself out of the way, or then when I do move myself out of the way, I then show you a player and then I'm in the way, I'm just going to completely take the camera out for now. And I'm also going to get rid of the little handle as well. So we did quite a lot of business during the season as well. Basically, I had 80-90 million to spend with no one really to spend it on. So I just signed random young players, to be honest with you. Just because the last bit of business you saw us do was Cheikh Mendy, who we then later found out hated big games. We've also had stuff to say that he's really struggling with the way of playing playing first team matches. So I'm like, oh my word, this guy's just a car crash. But you know what? He's still doing all right. We may well still look to try and move him on soon, but for now he's just going to do a job for us. It's a shame because he's a really good ball-winning midfielder, really. He's really good just to sit in that anchor sort of 6 role and just try and win the ball back. And he's got really decent passing, so he's already got a couple of assists for us. But anyway, we then signed Jan Nørgaard from Copenhagen. Again, just a youngster defender, 16 years old, just kind of because we could, and he looked decent, and I thought we could make something out of him or send him to a Serbian team, because we've actually managed to do that twice this season. So Ernest Patzin, we signed from Lokomotiva out in Croatia, and we've actually loaned him up to TSC, and he's done really well. As you can see, he's got 7 goals and an assist in 11 games for them. He actually scored a couple of times in the Conference League for them. He scored in a 1-1 draw against Roma in the playoff game, but they ended up losing that 4-1 on aggregate. We signed Cristiano from Perenense, decent looking midfielder, again, just kind of because we could. Just why not? And then we flip him if we want to, I don't know. But it was just like, we've got the money, might as well spend it in case we lose it. Same reason why we signed Juninho, but to be fair, he is actually looking like a really decent advanced forward. He stayed out on loan at, was it Mineiro? Yeah, he stayed out on loan there. He'll be coming back in the January. Nikolai Christensen, again, another one we just signed, young player, just because he'll probably do a job in a Serbian team if we can get him to get a loan out there. But again, it was just like, I'm just going to bring these players in because like I can, and they will hopefully accrue some value and we can then sell them for a profit or help the league out. Then we did the first sort of proper signing, I would say, and that was James Holding from Manchester United. We signed him for, what was it, 29 mil. And he really hit the ground running. As you can see, 7 goals in 7 games, including 2 braces in his first 2 games, I think it was. He's someone we signed, because he's really good, but also because we have a feeling we can probably flip him back to a Prem team in a couple of seasons, hopefully for like double what we've signed him for, because he'll help with their homegrown coefficient. Rolf Bellman is someone who we have signed, again, a youngster, but he looks like he could be really decent. Can play, mainly going to be looking to use him in the midfield. He's quite a solid midfielder, but he can obviously play at fullback as well. But again, just someone we just signed because we had the money. He wasn't particularly expensive, and we thought we might as well bring him in. And again, we can sell him on if we need to. Again, the same with Hisham Ashaba from Heerenveen or Heerenveen. I don't know how exactly you're supposed to pronounce it, but looks a decent player. Bit of work to do to sort of really turn into someone of significant use to us, but I'm sure he'll come in useful for someone else. And then Leonardo Vidor is someone we signed for us, mainly playing out on the wing at Palmeiras, where we signed him from. We obviously don't really use wingers at the moment, but we could definitely, I think, find a space for him in our system, either as a number 10, or, if push came to shove, we could probably retrain him into like a false 9 or something. Who knows, we might see a shift back to a winger system at some point in the future. We have had interest in Machanovic. We've been rejecting huge bids for him this season. Leverkusen actually bid like over 100 million for him, but he wasn't interested in going to them. He wanted to go to Bayern Munich, but I just blanket rejected it. He wasn't very happy, but he, tough, basically. Had I shown you Yaroslav Stanek? I can't remember, but another left-back option who came in from Sparta out in Czechia, sorry. Same with Yusuf Rikpo, just more young players that we're just sort of bringing in to help the B team, and they will, I'm sure, end up being a very useful player. Enrique, someone who I actually think can do a job for us this season, both as a midfielder and as a right wing back. I can't even remember this guy. Again, just someone really cheap, and we could sign him. So we did. But then we move on to this season. And so another really successful loan signing we've done out to Serbia is Lee Quincy Hahn to Stankom, who we signed a couple of years ago when he was 16 from Groningen. He is someone who played really, really well for the under-19s and for our B team, Teleoptic. We actually gave him his debut in the Cup and he scored. He's gone out to Stankom, and as you can see, he's killing it. 10 goals in 10 games, and I would be hoping that he will bring them back up into European contention, because they did not get there last season. And with a bit of luck, Stankom will actually try and buy him off us. We'll offer him out, we'll offer to pay his wages, whatever. Hopefully they'll take him, because he could really be a top striker for them, which could really do a brilliant job. Azevedo finally left. Yeah, he'd been out on loan at Sporting last season. We didn't need him because we had Bakar and Baskoveno in, and obviously we had Stanek coming in. So he literally, as we said when we signed him, he's coming in to do a job basically for a season. We made a little loss in him. I don't really care. The money was well spent. He only cost us like 2-3 mil. He did his job. Jovic, as we said last season, unfortunately was leaving. He's gone out to Celtic, not really played much yet. A few loan signings, a few other free signings out the door. Matic Hauer is someone we signed really cheap for like 700k a couple of seasons ago, and then Feyenoord came in and were like, we'll buy him off you if you want. And I was like, you know what, make double the money, fine, take him. Chihan did finally get his move, but because we just agreed that contract with him in February, we were able to get a bit more money for him. So we basically doubled our what we bought him for when we sold him to Real Madrid. He was like wanting that move as well. So it wouldn't have been worth keeping him in the end. He was just gonna moan. It was like, you know what, just go and let's put this saga to bed. Aureli Kushar, I've been out on loan at Augsburg last season, done really, really well, and I thought they were going to sign him, but they didn't, and then we actually managed to sell him for like double what his purchase clause was. So we actually made like a very slight loss on him in the end, because I think we signed him for like 19.5, 20 mil from Barcelona, but the main thing with him was his wages were massive, so we freed that up. Same with Fermin, who we signed for 9.5 mil from Atletico. He's now gone out to Blackburn, and he was on huge wages again. Jovanovic finally left the club. He'd come through as a youngster. He'd been decent for us. Good utility player, but was only ever going to be that. So it's like essentially free money. Mykhailo Mudryk has gone to Rangers because we brought in a load of number 10s and like a couple of like last season, and we were just sort of filtering through. He was a foreign player. He was 34. It didn't really make sense to keep him around in some regards, even though he was decent. So he's gone to Rangers to earn £375 a week. And he's probably just, I don't know, he's either going to sit on the bench. Realistically, he could probably still ball out in the SPFL. So I'd expect him to do quite well there. Partizan we've touched on. Tugar finally left. So Man United bid for him. He was, obviously we've had this conversation with him before where we've had to convince him to stay. And this time it was like, I really didn't think we can convince him anymore. But we managed to get really decent money for him from Man United. Manuel Casas, severe bid for him, and he was like, you're not going to be able to keep me here. And you know what? When we signed him for $5.5 million last season, I was more than happy just to take the money on that one and let him go. Koku Agbo, we'll touch on in a bit. Villafania gone to Newcastle. Again, he was another one who was adamant he wanted to leave. So we signed him like $6.5 million, and we got a decent profit on him. And then Galgito Gravenberg is someone who we were hoping to try and get into Serbia. Metalac bid for him, but he rejected it. And then Inter bid for him, and he basically kicked up a massive fuss about not being able to go. So we sold him. Onto the ins, Nathan Bertrand has come in as a right back, but he is actually quite comfortable playing as an inverted wing back and in midfield. And that has seen us tweak our 5-3-2 tactic in some regards, because we've created a second tactic based on it, but one which uses inverted wing backs, because Cesar Bakar is really like strong on his right foot, just as a way of just allowing us to potentially play a little bit more, just a little bit differently if the need arises it, but the structure is still very similar. So hopefully it's not too much of a shift. Tim Lauer, we made his move permanent. Basiro Manjang, we did the same. With Chihan leaving, it made sense to bring him in, and he is more of a ball winner than Chihan was, which kind of suits what we wanted. Lazar Mihailovic, I think we touched on, he came in on a free. Piero Hincapi was a free agent, and he's come in basically as a backup to / rotation option on that left-sided centre-half role. He's actually played quite a bit. He's still really, really good for his age, so it made sense just to bring him in because he is brilliant. So Koku Agbo is someone my scouts have been raving about, and I was like, I don't really get why. And then I noticed his height, 6'6", and he's great on both feet. So he's playing out as a winger at Kalmar, but I think really his strength lies through the middle. He can't really cross the ball, and he's both footed. So just work on his finishing and his dribbling, and let his pace and his physicality do the rest. I think he could be a really good advanced forward, really powerful. 19 years old, I think he'll be brilliant. And then the big signing of 91 million for Mohamed Abdul Fattah, who we've touched on before. We had 100-odd mil just sat in the bank and not knowing really what to do with it. And we had already tried to buy this guy earlier on in the window when he'd sort of put in a transfer request at Leverkusen. We had a bid of 68 mil accepted. He accepted our contract, but then snubbed the move. So we thought, stuff it, you know what, we'll see what else we can get. Meanwhile, we had other players then leaving, like Casas, Tugar, and Villafania. And in the end, I was like, stuff it, we'll just go back in and buy him. And he wasn't convinced that when we re-entered negotiations, but we managed to bring him in, and he basically completes our defence, because with Stankovic, Langras and him, we are set. Now, I know having the best defence in Europe doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win, but it certainly helps. And one other final sale I also did forget to mention about, was Samuel Grassi. So he was another one of the number 10s we bought in. Celtic bid for him. He was sort of thinking, I don't think I'm going to be good enough to play here. And we basically managed to get just under sort of 3 times what we bought him in for, so I was happy to do that. Now, this was, like I said, still running the same tactic. The only tweak we've done is we've now got this as a regista, so this was a roaming playmaker. But since we switched to the regista, I do find that it actually does seem to work a little bit better in helping with those midfield battles. And the rest of the team is kind of picking itself. Like I said, Micanovic kicked up a fuss that we rejected the Bayern Munich move. As you can see, if you look at his stats, 7 games, 11 goals. He has really started the season really, really well. But because of that, I'm like, well, if someone's prepared to pay, the 108, 127 million that he's worth now, and then another season he might be worth even more. So for me, the dream is to keep him, he's only 19, is to keep him here all the time and just have him as a club legend striker, one club man. wins everything with the club. He's certainly good enough to do that if he carries on developing. But the worst, we can definitely get more money from him than what he's worth at the moment, I reckon. But he's just going to start on the bench for now. Excuse me, and we're going to go with Holding, who, as I said, has been brilliant since he joined. Borisenko's had a decent start to the season. I thought we might have sold him, but he's ended up staying. Shevchenko in behind. Bakar, Manjang, Podratsky, because Kostas is just coming back from an injury. Van Ganeshtin's been brilliant. Abdul Fattah, Langras and Stankovic. You'll notice that Stankovic now plays on the left, and we're all ball-playing defenders at the moment. I might change that for some of the more tough Champions League games where we might not want someone dallying on the ball. But he's moved over to the left because he's put a load of work in on his weak foot, and he's now strong on his left foot, whereas neither Langras or Abdul Fattah are at that level, so it makes sense just to play him on the left. There's still, obviously, we've still got Bishabu around, but I have tried to sort of shift him on, but no one's bitten yet, so he's just going to stay for now, and we'll see what happens. Jeffrey Dahan, we had to leave out, unfortunately. He's still young. He's still someone who I think could be really, really good for us. So he's still got like 4-star potential, potentially 5 stars. So we'll try and we're going to try and get him playing quite a lot in the league to make up for that, to help with his development. Van Ganeshtin's been brilliant. Since Casas left, he's just sort of, basically just become the number 1 right back for us. As you can see, 9 games, 1 goal, 6 assists. So fantastic. Podratsky doing really, really well still. He's only 20 now. Not brilliant star rating wise, but has decent attributes and just does the job. So if you've made it through that typically long intro from me and you're still here, ready for the game, why not drop a like down below and leave a comment. What do you think our potential for this season is? What do you reckon? And yeah. Subscribe if you're not already, although I think most people who are still here will be subscribed. You'll also notice that we've got new face packs, and that's because we're using the View from the Touchline New Gen Mid-Journey face pack, which I really like. Excuse me. In case you're wondering what that noise was, we've just scored. I don't know if you heard that noise, it just made me jump. One of the cats just jumped off a really high cat tree. But while I was looking away, we scored a goal, and it was Borisenko. Played the ball up to Holding, and then Borisenko nicks in, runs, and nice, lovely finish. And that is a perfect start inside, 11 minutes. Brilliant. And they have not even had a shot yet, so let's keep that going. Like I said, this will really help us with the coefficients if we can do this. We could really do with Ajax not winning, though. That would be nice if Rangers could do us a job there. I think it was Rangers that said they were playing. Come on, Mudryk, do the business. He's offside, I think. Maybe, yeah, I was going to say, I could have sworn he was offside. Eduardo Fernandez had a few bids over the summer, but he was quite happy to stay, and I still think he is someone who can. He's got 4.5-star potential, so I think he's got the scope to be a top keeper for us if we can handle his development right. And Holding has got a massive helping hand from Zamora in the Porto defence. I think that was. I think he was a defender. He might have been a midfielder actually, and he's gone to tackle Holding from behind. As Holding's ultimately turned the wrong way, really. He's basically turned himself into trouble with that right back coming across. But Zamora has basically allowed him to go around the keeper the other way and then score. And Ajax are winning 2-0 now, so that's pretty much that done. It helped though last, because this is on the Wednesday, it helped on the Tuesday. Vitesse drew and Benfica lost, so small mercies on that one. Manjang is on a yellow, so if he's still doing alright at half time, we'll swap him to just a DM. Oh, and Shevchenko has. I don't think he could have strayed offside with that shot because it was literally coming across goal. It was like a cross. Yeah, I don't really see how that could have been offside because, like, he cuts back and hits it across goal, like crosses it. Yeah, he's well onside. Yeah, like a nice little pirouette and placed it into the corner, and that's game over. And I might actually just take Manjang off. Yeah, we've just taken Manjang off, and we've just brought Jake Mendy on. I know he's got the whole, doesn't like big games or whatever, but, we're 3-0 up. Just enjoy it, mate. Just enjoy the game and try and relax and, lose some of that fear that you obviously have. Nah, come on, Pedratsky. I'm going to have to take him off because I think he's picked up a knock and he's just shown there. Well, he was onside, wasn't he? So that's 3-1. And you could see that happening, but yeah, that all came through. No, not his fault. He's obviously just been injured, but that all came through Pedratsky just letting the player run off him. Don't like that. Don't like that. There's no point encouraging when we're 3-1 up. They're not going to take that well, are they? And Mendy's already been booked. Okay, so you can go to you can do that, please. We'll bring Lauer on. Lauer's done alright. Lauer's had a decent season. We'll bring on Hincapi for Stankovic, and we'll bring on Vukovic for Borisenko. Vukovic finished with like 28, 30 goals or something last season. He had a brilliant season. He's sort of had his start to the season has been sort of slowed a little bit because he picked up an injury which saw him out for a few weeks. Yeah, we played a game against, I think it was against Luznica, which we won 9-0. Oh man, this isn't good. I'm getting nervous now. You got to be messing. And yeah, they just went to town on us and just injured every single one of our players. This should have been a comfortable win. So let's just congest that midfield. Make sure this guy... Why? Oh man, I could have sworn I did this. Just taking their foot off the gas a little bit. And if this stays 3-2, you can bet I will be telling them off for taking their foot off the gas in this second half. Yes, Tim. Can we just get a fourth and just make sure? I think he's off. I got a feeling he was offside. I think he might have been off. It was a lovely goal, but I think he was off. Yeah. Anganeshton to Hurtle. Langras, Abdul Fattah, Langras, Mendy, Hurtle. Lovely bit of... He's offside. Can we just stay on side? Seriously. Please, can we just stay on side? It's not difficult. Really is not difficult. They got me so twitchy now. I just want the final whistle to go. Right. I could have sworn that said 2 minutes and then it's... Ugh. Come on. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Flippin' heck. And then something else that's really nice to see in the league games that have been happening this week. Lee Quincy Hahn and Ernad Patson have scored 2 goals. So, yeah, those low moves are working out brilliantly for them and for their clubs. Meanwhile, in the Europa League, Red Star were unfortunate enough to have to play Betis and they lost. But Vojvodina beat Shamrock Rovers 3-1. So that means that after that round of games in Europe, we are clinging on to Portugal quite tightly. And we've still got a little bit of ground to make up on the Netherlands, but hopefully we can do the business. I think, like I said, main focus is going to be Champions League, so I guess I just play a load of games now, and maybe we go for Benfica and Sevilla, and this time I will actually do both of them, because I realised when I was editing that episode for the Champions League where we played Galatasaray, the one before it, I said I was going to do both, and then I just ended up doing one. So I'll probably just bring it back for both of those ones. Let's hope we can get results against... Excuse me, I've been drinking a lot of water because it's so hot against both of these teams. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the episode, everyone. I will see you all very, very soon. Take care and stay safe. Bye for now. Thank you so much for watching.